Okay. Any other windows going to pop up here? Remember, there's usually a third-party thing that comes up about now as well. Up there it is. Like the swallows coming back to Capistrano. Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here for today's budget hearing for the FY2026 budget for the town of Riverdale Park. Especially appreciative that folks are here today, given the number of things which are occurring on this day. So hopefully we'll be able to get out to some of them a little bit later on. That being my hope that we can move on through this meeting in a prompt way, not really giving short shrift to anything, but if it's all right with everybody else, possibly taking note and coming back to things at later meetings and or work sessions as well. I'm going to keep my comments brief to that. I am going to allow the mayor, being that this is his final first budget hearing of his public service career for the town of Riverdale Park up till now. Who knows what the future may bring? That being said, Mr. Mayor.
I'm not going to say much except I attended budget hearings before I was on the council, and I'm sure I'll attend budget hearings next year. So it's not my final one, just my final one with the title in front of my name. So see you soon. And I reviewed the budget summary document in detail last night, and I'm looking forward to the discussion this morning. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Folks, you have before you a budget, and you have before you an agenda as well for this budget hearing today. Are there any changes that folks would like to see on this agenda? Can we get that up on the screen, please? So folks at home can see what we're talking about, or whenever they view this. Okay.
Ms. Barnes, for us more experienced folks, if you could make it larger. Oh, it went away. Jessica?
I think Brian's sharing that. Just 1 second.
Yes, one second. I couldn't zoom in as I was sharing it before, so I've opened it another way. There we go.
Okay.
Very
there
good.
We go. Great. As I was asking, does anyone have any changes or would like to see the order shifted around in any way on the bullet point items? Or does that order look fine for everybody?
That order looks fine, council member.
Okay.
I'll rise as you can.
Pardon?
Sorry, it was some feedback. We got it under control now.
Okay. Alrighty. With that, let's move into the.
Have we lost Councilmember Lingua?
No, I'm still here.
Yes.
I'm still here.
I hear.
And here's the who.
I see the council member.
I'm in Whoville here.
I think the mayor's, well, you were frozen, sir.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, is everybody here? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. As I was saying, let's move on to item number 1, introduction, budget summary. Mr. Listician.
Yes, good morning. And Thank you all for being here today. On the screen, if we could pull up the beginning of the budget message. So as we begin these meetings, so we have, as the chair said, we have these 3 meetings scheduled, and then there's work sessions and legislative sessions between now and approval. From a staff perspective, I think some of the questions that we would encourage the council to be thinking about as we review the budget, the level of comfort that you have with our revenue projections, coupled with the mid-year levers that we have built in by delaying positions, for example, to January. So your level of comfort with that, your level of comfort in 2.5% COLA, and the subsequent impact on other areas, because salary is tied to workers' comp, and salary is also tied to retirement contributions. And then your level of comfort with our staffing. We are recommending, in terms of funded positions, the same thing as we have in the current year, but we actually intend to fill those positions next January. They were authorized to be filled this past January, and we held off on that, anticipating greater uncertainty than we anticipated last spring. And then your level of comfort with the targeted tax increase for commercial condominium and industrial properties, both the concept and the level to fund operations. So from a staff perspective, those are the areas that we see as most substantive and foundational to the proposed budget. As you will hear when we get into section 2, the overview of significant changes, there's not a lot of changes in terms of funding levels in the various areas, the cost centers and the individual line items. If we could go to later in this message where we show the graph with the red line for the anticipated rate of inflation. Oh, I think you're in the summary document. Yes. Right there. So you can see the year-over-year percent increase by cost center. So the cost centers across the bottom, that's where we spend our money. And so you see that the benefits increasing the most as a percent, and as probably as a dollar amount as well. Overtime, less dollar amount, because it's about a $12,000 increase. And but a higher percent. Contractual services has a higher percent than other areas, but included in that are the things like the new camera system for the council chambers and the maintenance contract, as well as the IT agreement. We've actually not included in here, we cut back something we thought we were going to do, and that was to outsource the janitorial services for the municipal center. That's not in here. We removed that as a cost savings measure. But when you look at the operating budget and you look at the percent increases, 0.44%, 0.19%, 0, 0.188, 0.128. We gave our best guess on the inflationary rate, and we're saying 3.5. Depending on who you talk to on the day of the week and whether their tariffs are on or tariffs are off, you get different reports. So when we put this together, that's our best projection that throughout the fiscal year, we're likely to see 3.5%. So that's what that red line is on this graph, to represent where we think inflation will be. And so with that, you can see that quite a few of our increases are barely or considerably lower, and salaries is right below inflation. But I want to stress that doesn't mean that we're not keeping up with our salaries, because we managed to hire staff at lower than anticipated rates, lower than budgeted rates. So when we filled positions over the last year, we actually had some savings. So the increase this year can be a little bit less, or will be a little bit less when you're comparing budget to budget. But we will still, staff will still be above an inflationary increase with the cost of living. And this also includes the merit step increases, provided their satisfactory performance. So those are the questions that, from a staff perspective, we think are foundational for the council to consider. Any questions at this point? Okay. So from here, if we could go to the section, Mr. Charlton, still in the message, that examines the proposed tax increase. As I mentioned previous, staff are trying to be hyper transparent and in discussing this. So last year, taxes were raised on the assessable base across the board, 3.5 cents. And that generated $351,000. That does not flow into the operating budget. That flows directly to CIP for walk, bike, drive, safety-related capital improvement projects. So while the taxes went up, that did not address any increasing expenditures in terms of the town's operations. It all goes to CIP. And so this year in building the budget, we did the same thing. Now it is based upon the assessable base from last year. So we did not increase the 351,000. So the assessable base grew. We kept the amount going to walk, bike, drive static at last year's rate, or last year's base, and that gives you the same 351,000 flowing into those projects. Mr. Charlton, if you can go down just, yes, like in this area. And so in preparing for this budget, we examined just about every which way we could, our operations and our history and that sort of thing. And one thing that I asked Chief Turner to pull together was the percent of calls for police service at different types of properties. And what we learned was nearly 60% of police calls for service occur at commercial properties. And we shouldn't necessarily be surprised by that when we read the biweekly status and information reports. We see this type of call, disorderly or shoplifting, or all those things. They're happening in our commercial areas, and much lesser calls are happening in our residential neighborhoods. Especially in our single-family neighborhoods. There's much fewer calls for police service than in our commercial areas. And then we started looking at, well, what's the impact that these commercial and industrial areas can have on the town roads in terms of traffic? Are we seeing that we may have to do road improvements more frequently in terms of overlays and things of that nature? In areas that you have employment centers or customer focus centers. And so then we looked at what the base looks like. And Mr. Shelton put together a pretty good analysis of what the base looks like in terms of percents and how much revenue we're bringing in from what type of land use. And what we found was that we're bringing in, I believe it's like 44% of our real property tax revenue comes from the commercial and industrial properties, but they're requiring much more of our most expensive services. And so we tried to find a balance there. We also look to other jurisdictions, and some jurisdictions have lower tax rates. And I want to talk about this for a minute. As the mayor knows from our conversations, a lot can be said about a tax rate, but then you have to look at the base, because it's the rate times the base that gives you the yield. And when we look at our base, I think we have an appropriate tax rate. And I think this proposed tax rate is the right thing to do in terms of the commercial and industrial. And so, yes, you can find jurisdictions around us that have lower rates. You can also find jurisdictions around us that have much higher rates. For example, in Bladensburg, their commercial rate is 0.84, and we're proposing 0.75. And I believe they have a healthy commercial base in Bladensburg. I don't think businesses are fleeing that area because they're paid 9 cents more than what the proposed rate is in Riverdale Park. So if we can take a look for a minute, the impact of this proposed increase. So Mr. Shelton created these two tables, the top one being commercial properties, the second one being industrial. And we looked at the median and the average in terms of the value of the property. That's in the far left. And then what the tax would be at the current rate, the tax at the new rate, and the annual difference. So if someone had a $240,000 building, the increase is going to cost an additional $148 a year. If someone had a $1.7 million building, it's going to cost them $1,000 a year. I will say that I've been doing this for years. I like to look at what it costs per day, especially on commercial and industrial properties, income producing properties. What's the actual cost per day? So if we had, for example, a building that was $1 million, this additional 6.1 cents on that $1 million, when you divide it out, it's going to be like, I think, about $1.60 a day on an income producing property. And I don't have that number right in front of me. It's just kind of in my head. I should probably defer to the chair, who's much better at calculating in his head than I am. But I think it's going to be like $1.60 a day. And so from a staff perspective, it's warranted to pay for the increased cost of operations. And we make this proposal recognizing that we don't recommend having any sort of further increase on our residents. And so it's trying to find that balance. When we look at the industrial properties, similar thing, median is 157,000, average assessed value is 6.2, and you multiply it out, and the difference either being $100 a year or $3,800 a year. And I understand that the tax burden overall throughout the area is high. And probably something that illustrates that more than anything is looking at the taxes that go to MNCPPC. And then looking at the base of Montgomery County compared to Prince George's County. And I'll make sure that staff provide that to the whole council. I believe that we had sent that, or I'd sent that to the mayor and Councilmember Lingwood. Did I send that to you? I can't recall.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
You
and
did send
and the rate is much higher in Prince George's County. And Montgomery County's base, though, is double the size of Prince George's County base. So that has to be taken into account. But it is very considerable because I believe the MNCPPC rate is like 29.8 cents. Yeah. And here to run the town, our rate is 0.689. And to enjoy the parks and planning, it's a lot. And that's another burden, plus the Prince George's County rate. So I understand that the tax burden, and staff team generally understands, the tax burden on a residence is high. But we believe that this targeted approach better positions the town, not just for fiscal 26, but in subsequent years as well. Mr. Shelton, you can take this down so we can see each other a little bit better now. And but in preparing for the out years, we also have to look at other revenue sources. And so as the council's aware and the community, if you're driving around, you may be seeing the boxes near stop signs. So we're well on our way to having stop sign automated enforcement. Our goal in that is to have safer roads, but we don't want it to cost us money. And we don't believe that it'll be a net zero. We believe we will get revenue from that. What we get, we don't know. This is too new to include any projection in the current year. And we're not sure how long it will take for the approval process from the county. But in subsequent years, yes, we think that'll be another source of revenue. We also, and from my conversations with the chair, if I can share this, and that is looking at other land uses. We have some properties in town that I would classify as owned by collectors, property collectors, as opposed to someone seeking development. And vacant property, long-term, doesn't help. It doesn't lend to increases in property values generally. Actually, it can cause diminution in neighboring properties to have vacant lots or uncared for buildings. And we did not have the time this year, but over the next 6 or 8 months, we intend to conduct a thorough analysis of whether or not it would be appropriate in the future to have a different tax rate for vacant properties. And that's something that is done here in Maryland and in DC, where if someone's not improving their property, then they're encouraged through the implication of higher rates. We're also looking wherever we can to partner with other jurisdictions. And I mentioned this when we met on April 7th. And so I'm having discussions with my counterparts about, are there ways that we can work together to save money, still deliver excellent quality of service, but to save money for our jurisdiction and theirs. And those are complex conversations. I do not foresee us being able to say, yes, we'll make a change in 6 months, maybe even in 18 months. These will involve long-term analysis and negotiation. And so we're actually looking at fiscal 28 before we would be able to say, yes, hey, we can partner in procurement, or we can partner in IT, or we can partner in dispatch, or we could partner in whatever areas make sense to the town of Riverdale Park. Because at the end of the day, it has to make sense for our taxpayers. It can't be just helping someone else out. And that's where those discussions get complicated. So those are the comments that I intended to share today. Ms. Barnes is going to put in the chat the link from the April 7th meeting. So there's a video there. I went into great detail on the budget message in that video. I would encourage anyone watching this either today or in the future to reference back to that video. And then my final comments would be, this year we put together a budget summary and a budget guide. I think some of the comments, rightfully so, the critiques we've gotten from the council in the past, this large book can be intimidating and it may be hard to find things. Our residents need a quick, easy guide to better understand their town's finances. So that's what we intended to do. This is our first effort at that. And so as with our budget book, I'm sure next year we'll get a little bit better in producing a guide and a summary. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I would ask if anyone has questions on anything I shared so far, and then that would conclude the first item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Lustician. Any questions for Mr. Lustician?
Mr. Chair, I have one comment on the budget summary document. Just a suggestion for the future.
Mayor Thompson, go right ahead.
So at the very beginning of the document, you have the summary table for the operating budget that lists, the various revenues and expenditures on a single table, on a single, each revenue and expenditure each on a single table and one page. And I would recommend inserting a page after that that has a similar summary for capital improvement. The capital improvement in this budget summary is at the very end, and I think that putting a table sort of by area and also the revenues and what grants they come from and things like that would be a good idea. So that right up front, people could see, okay, this is how much is being operating, this is how much is capital. So.
And thank you for that, Mayor Thompson. Mr. Jones, if you could affect that change before budget approval, and that way, Mr. Mayor, will have that out there for folks perhaps by middle of next week.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions for Mr. Lustician?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a question here.
Councilman Calhoun, please.
Yeah, the town manager said Ed House is like $242,000. The tax rate in a year is like $148. What about the house that costs $150 below? What is their own tax rate?
Yeah, so council member, that was for commercial properties, and those were just examples. The rate stays the same. So on residential, the rate is 0.6890 per $100 of assessed value. And that's for all properties currently. And what we're suggesting is that in the next fiscal year, that the rate for commercial, and read that as non-residential, so commercial and industrial properties, for the rate to go to 0.75.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, council member.
Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Mr. Lustician?
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Yang.
My only question is on the rate increase. Do we feel comfortable in terms of not having to raise it again in any in the near term future? That this rate increase is sufficient enough that 5 years out we should probably still be okay with it, or is there potential that we may need to revisit this in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would say there are so many factors that are involved in that. It's difficult to predict in normal times. And I think it's a very good question because you want to have as much predictability as we can have for our residents and for our businesses. So a couple things. One, our charter says the highest tax rate that we can have is 0.75. And that's what we'd be taking it for commercial and industrial. And if we wanted to go higher, we would have to amend our charter, which we that may be recommended in the future, and it may be recommended targeted for vacant properties. But in terms of where things would go, and let's just talk some variables here. If 4700 River Road, federally owned building, went back to private ownership, as the current administration's talking about, they want to see federal assets go back to private ownership. That one building would yield $566,000 in property tax based upon its current value. If that went back, let's say 2 years from now, we may be saying we recommend decreasing the residential rate. We're decreasing all rates. It depends. If K-Fritz actually carries through and builds those 2 multifamily buildings, we would get probably another $560,000. If the lofts get built, if the chamber site gets redeveloped, if the 11 acres at Riverdale Plaza next to the Purple Line, when that gets redeveloped, you're talking about an infusion of really significant magnitude in terms of the accessible base growth. And as the base grows, you can lower the rates. With things as uncertain as they are, and not just the national economy, but Mr. Jones and Smith and I, we've been talking about what may happen locally. We don't know.
Okay.
We are trying our best to prepare us for fiscal 28 or fiscal 27 and fiscal 28. So my goal in proposing this is to not have to come back to you for 3 years. That's my goal. I may be able to come back next year and say, hey, you can come down a penny. If River Road, for example, becomes a reality. Those other developments, they're not going to happen. And I think we have it in a budget message for 6 years. Last year, we were projecting that in 2030, we would be able to see revenue from those. With how things are now, and in talking to developers, we're bumping that up to a 6-year before any of those projects are substantially complete.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be more clear, sir.
Makes sense.
Councilmember Inyang, that is a very valid question to be asking and to be looking at. And with what is happening now, the fact that there is now a substantial degree of uncertainty in various factors, both nationally, internationally, as well as local. Truly looking at it fiscal year at a time at this point. Any other questions for Mr. Listician?
Mr. Chair, I have one other comment. If we could pull the impact of the increase table back up on screen. Is that possible?
Mr. Charlton?
Thank you. So there's 2 things that sort of jumped out at me looking at these. And one of them is what the median value and what the average value is. And that indicates that the fact that they're so different indicates that we have a few very high priced commercial or industrial properties, and that most of them are much less than that. And so we should definitely keep an eye on those most expensive properties, because if they are appealed, their value is appealed, which we know is going on, then those very few properties can have a significant impact on income. And the second, and I just looked this up, Googled this, I haven't checked the number, is that both the median and the average home price, is around $500,000. And so the fact that the average commercial property is only 3 times that is astonishing to me. I would think that that would be a much higher number, and that the median is half of that is also surprising to me. So I just wanted to bring up those two issues. Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions, be they from council or the public, for Mr. Listician? Okay, hearing or seeing none, let's move on.
So, Mr. Chair, in this next section, we're going to have the department heads talk briefly about what the cost centers provide. And then Mr. Jones will go into the number side of things. And that's just to give our residents an understanding of what the different cost centers provide to the community. So Director Barnes, are you covering the mayor and council budget in terms of the significant, well, Gentry will cover the significant changes, but do you just want to talk about what's in there?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. The mayor and council's cost center really focuses on just the operation component of the mayor and council. So it covers the salary and wages component. It also covers expenses that are special events like our seniors luncheon. It also houses the expense for the biannual elections. So those are the types of expenses that you find in the mayor and council's budget. It has a small line item for supplies and technology purchases, things of that nature. But these are really exclusively for the operation really of the mayor and council as a whole.
And thank you for that. And Mr. Jones, if you can walk everyone through the significant changes, and then we're available to respond to any questions.
Yeah, sure. So as the town manager Listician mentioned, we don't have many significant changes, as the majority of the budget is flat. But some of the highlights that we have here in this particular cost center are the salary section. So the mayor and council salaries were increased through the adoption of ordinance 2025-OR-02. That has increased by $12,000. And then in the operating expenditures for fiscal year 2026, there is no election scheduled for 26. So you have a decrease there of $33,300. So overall, if you look at the approved amount for fiscal year 2025, that total was $120,796, and that has been reduced to $100,373.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions on this part? Okay.
Director Barnes.
Good morning again. Moving into the Office of Administrative Services. The Office of Administrative Services provides a variety of services, both internally and externally. OAS handles communication and events, develops and operates various programs for the town, and provides support to the boards, commissions, and committees, as well as the mayor and council and all of the departments in town. So there's a wide variety of tasks and things that the Administrative Services Department covers. Some of the things that were accomplished in 2025, as discussed in the State of the Town, OAS expanded the digital outreach to the public. We worked on dissemination of all sorts of town-wide communications. We implemented the new Constant Contact, which is a bilingual digital tool, and supported all the boards and commissions, as well as the mayor and council in their duties. In 2020, 2026, one of the highlights will be the implementation and development of a new town website. We'll continue to refine our communication plan and really seek out new ways to reach our residents and businesses and visitors. And we plan to hire a full-time outreach and communications manager, but not until January 2026. And then Deputy Director Jones, if you could cover the overview and the significant changes. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for fiscal year 2026, the total budgeted amount for administrative services is $1,352,290. The staff headcount has also changed from 25 to 26. We have a total of 4.75 positions as opposed to the 25 total of 5.5. Here, we have the communication and outreach manager. That position is to be hired midway through the year. So we've got the 0.5 there where it's been reduced. And then the program specialist, a portion of that position has been moved to finance services as well to help assist there. Next, I guess we should cover the significant changes on the next page. Something I'd like to mention, salaries. So one thing I'd like to mention as we move forward is that all staff will receive a 2.5% cost of living adjustment along with the scheduled step increases. Healthcare benefits increasing by 5% and workers' comp is increasing by 10%, and this is also reflected in the benefits. So to keep the presentation focused, avoid redundancy, I'm just going to focus on the departments that have significant changes due to the personal headcount. So in this case, admin services, the decrease in the budget is reflected due to the combination of the part-time event coordinator position and the full-time communications manager, outreach and communication manager. So the town anticipates filling that position in January 2026. This again will be contingent upon organizational and financial conditions. Another significant change I'd like to highlight is the contractual services. So the adjustment here reflects an anticipated increase in costs associated with the legal and information technology services. As we continue to see growing demands in these areas, particularly in navigating the legal complexities, we have a focus on enhancing cybersecurity and our technological infrastructure as it is imperative to allocate resources accordingly. So here we have an increase from $159,500 to $190,000 in the new proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. Outside of that, though, we don't have any other significant changes. As town manager, listician manager, this is a pretty much flat budget outside of salaries and contractual services. So the next is finance services. So I'll give a brief overview for this department. So finance services is responsible for finances. Pretty much has a hand in everything finance related. But some of the focuses are, payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payable, developing, along with the budget committee, the operating and CIP budget to align with the town's goals, developing and maintaining long-term financial strategies, presenting financial reports to the council and the public in an effort to maintain transparency, and then winning the Distinguished Budget Award annually. At this point, that's pretty much the standard. So, yeah, that covers finance services. I will briefly go over the overview as well. So for fiscal year 2026, we have a budgeted amount totaling $689,066. For the staff headcount, that has increased by 0.25. As I mentioned, admin services is going to play a role a role here with the program specialists offering a quarter of their time. So the 25 total is 4, and we are increasing that to 4.25 for fiscal year 2026. Some of the significant changes here, along with the COLA and the step increases, in salaries, we do have a significant change here in fiscal year 25. Total 370,218 up to 406,000. So this includes the funding for a full-time manager position. This position was authorized in the 2025, but hiring was delayed due to the economic uncertainties. So the town does anticipate filling that position in January 2026. And again, this will be contingent upon economic and financial conditions at the time. The other highlight here would be the contractual services. So finance services for 26 plans to implement a new cloud-based subscription software. That pretty much explains the increase there from 77,000 up to 110,000. This will include the implementation of the data convergence services to help transition from the town's legacy systems to the new platform. And that covers finance services. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Looks like you may have one.
Any questions from council for Mr. Jones on this portion of the budget?
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Smith, please.
Yes, thanks for that, Mr. Jones, but I simply can't let you get away with calling the Distinguished Budget Award pretty much standard. It is pretty much standard for our town, and that's wonderful, and we applaud upholding that standard, but it is not for municipalities generally. So pat yourself on the back a little bit more. Let's not gloss over that one. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, here. Thank you for bringing that up.
I will say, though, it may not be standard, but it is our expectation. And yes, and actually there are other awards that the GFOA puts out, and we fully intend to be going after those in the future as well.
Here.
Mr. Chair, I have a question backing up to administrative services, if we can go to the significant changes there.
Mayor Thompson, please.
Just one line up. There we go. That's good. So the head count in administrative services dropped by 15%, so 5.5 to 4 3/4, and the salary dropped only by 2%. And I've sort of seen this across a lot of different areas, and just want to focus on the fact that the average of 3.1% over the entire government is unequally spread, and just wanted to draw that attention. And I'll say that I'm a little bit confused at the negative salary and the increase in benefits. So if the benefits are tied so closely to salary, then it seems like they should both at least have the same direction. And so if you could address that, I'd be curious.
So,
Okay.
go ahead, Gentry.
So in some cases too, for the benefits, we may have budgeted in 2025 for a full family plan for health insurance, and then when we actually hire, they may elect to not include health insurance or get a single family plan rate in some cases. So, and that does go across the board. If you look, the benefits in some cases are higher and some are lower based off of the actual figure that we use when we actually hire. So you will see some fluctuation there in the benefits as opposed to the salary. So sometimes they don't always go up in the same direction when we actually make a hire.
Okay, so basically you're making some assumptions about what benefit plan would be chosen for the people, and so even though the salaries are dropping because you're assuming that some people take a higher plan, benefits go up. That makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions for Mr. Jones? Be that from the council or the public? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Let's move on.
So we do
Mr.
have
Smith.
employee services. Yeah.
Yes, the Employee Services Division is dedicated to supporting the town's most valuable asset, and that's our employees. Our department oversees human resource functions, employee benefit administration, recruitment, training and development, performance management, and wellness initiatives. We are committed to attracting and retaining top talent, ensuring compliance with employment laws, and fostering a positive and productive workplace culture. This year's budget reflects our continued investment in strengthening internal systems and promoting employee well-being and building a workforce capacity to meet the growing needs of the town. And I will turn this over to Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. So for employee services, we have a fiscal year 2026, a budgeted amount of $353,000. We're at $353,017. The staff headcount does remain unchanged. We have it's employee services director and the finance employee services position.
Mr. Jones, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. Let's see if I can make an adjustment. What about now?
I hear you much better. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, if we could move to the significant changes portion. So employee services is one of the cost centers that doesn't have many significant changes. The same organization-wide 2.5% COLA is implemented here, benefits as well with the 5% healthcare, 10% workers' comp increase. As far as the overtime premiums, contractual services, and operating, there are no significant changes. This cost center remains pretty flat. Next department is development services.
Mr. Charlton.
Yes, good morning, everybody. The Office of Development Services is responsible for fostering economic opportunity by partnering with residents, businesses, and regional stakeholders to help implement some programs to increase the Riverdale Park's location of choice for thriving businesses and vibrant neighborhoods. So we oversee many programs that are aimed towards residents to help improve their existing properties. We also have programs to help residents who are moving in, if they're establishing a new fence or anything of that type of nature, other accessory properties. And we also have business programs, those for existing businesses, those establishing new businesses, and things of that nature. In the last fiscal year, we dispersed $245,000 for the Farmers Market Dollars program. We secured additional grant funding, and we've implemented more programs to enhance businesses and the residents' properties within the town. Our goal through the next fiscal year is to take a substantial increase in those business improvement programs, especially as a result of the proposed commercial and industrial tax increase. The Office of Development Services is determined to make sure that that there are significant increase in the programs that would assist those types of businesses that would be affected by an increased tax. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jones.
So the development services fiscal year 2026 budget totals $278,540, which is actually down. This is one of the few departments, and I'll cover it in the significant changes. did actually reduce a little bit. So for fiscal year 2025, that figure was 282,946. And the staff headcount here actually remains unchanged. So if we can move to the significant changes. So yes, so for fiscal year 2026, while this department also receives the same organization-wide cost of living and step increases. For fiscal year 2025, we had a budgeted amount that was higher than the amount that we actually hired. So for fiscal year 2026, that is reflected. So you do have a reduction there, and benefits. This was another category where we had qualifying events that where we budgeted more than we actually needed for fiscal year 26, and that is reflected. Outside of the contractual services, operating expenditures, and marketing and promotions, these all remain flat. So overall, development services for fiscal year 2026 is going to have a more accurate proposed amount rather than the 2025 amount. All the other figures remain flat. So this department actually did decrease by 2%. Next is neighborhood services.
Yes, good morning again. Neighborhood Services works in partnership with residents and tenants and business and property owners throughout the town to make sure that all properties are complying with town code and other regional codes. The goal of Neighborhood Services is to foster a thriving community where everybody's property values can continue to increase. In the last fiscal year, we updated our licensing and inspections applications for faster processing. We implemented some proactive measures to reduce blight, and we updated some town codes, and most notably the ones for the multifamily properties to help improve safety in our multifamily neighborhoods. And yes, I'll turn that back over to Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. So for fiscal year 2026, we have a total budget figure of 353,565. The neighborhood improvement specialist staff headcount remains unchanged. But if you do notice, and we'll cover it in the significant changes, we have increased here, and that's due to being anticipating to be fully staffed for fiscal year 2026. And the positions hired are more accurately reflected here. So you have a fiscal year 2026 amount that again includes the 2.5% cost of living adjustment as well as the step increases. The benefits, however, are also to be accurately reflected here. And again, this can vary based on employees choosing to enroll in the single or the family coverage, which does have a significant variance there. Outside of that, though, if we look here, the operating expenditures over time, they do remain flat. So there are no significant changes there. And then that next is the community events.
Good morning again. Community events are a pivotal tool for placemaking, building community and enhancing the town's interactions with residents, businesses, and visitors. It also allows us to celebrate our community, the diversity and equity and inclusion, all of those things that make us beautiful and make us special. And they remind us of the relevance of the town. So these are very important activities, even though they're fun, but they're very important to what we do as a town. In 2025, we held a variety of events. We still have more to come. Importantly, though, we leveraged our partnerships with other community stakeholders to bring new events in town. So we worked with Riversdale, and we worked with the town of Edmonston and Riverdale Park Arts. So we've worked with all sorts of groups within our community and outside of our community. We've enhanced our outreach and engagement through the additional new events. We celebrated our town businesses also on Small Business Saturday this year with a holiday season kickoff event, encouraging folks to shop local and shop Riverdale Park. So these events really support every aspect of our community. In 2026, we're planning for more events, more town-sponsored events, and more town-supported events, but we're going to need to be very budget-friendly and focus on the costs associated with the events. We're going to increase inclusive programming throughout the year and develop a recruitment strategy and training program for volunteers to really build that base of volunteers in 2026. We'll also, and we're very much looking forward to programming the community space in the newly renovated municipal center. Deputy Director Jones.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Jones, if
Mr.
I may.
Barnes. So we had a slight
Mr.
increase.
Jones, if I may.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry about that.
My apologies. I was looking for the raised hand, but fingers are just a little too bulky this morning. Ms. Barnes, I know this is your favorite part of the budget, and I appreciate all the efforts that you make now with the staff we have on here to bring these events to fruition. Just for this tape and for this meeting now, any folks in town who want to come help out and volunteer at these events, don't be bashful, because many hands make light work, and the more the merrier. With that, I had one question for Mr. Shelton. If we could back up just a wee bit. In the book, it's page 119. It's the budget detail on development services, line item 9004 and 9006. Again, that's in this lovely tome I have here. I'm going to find some way to work into a fitness program as well. It's marketing and promotion. That's 9004. And 9006 is programming. For 9004 is business community programming. 9006 is economic development programming. Budgeted amounts, total amount for this portion, 45,000, 30,000, and 15,000 respectively for the line items. I was wondering, Mr. Shelton, if you could touch on this briefly as to what you're envisioning these outlays to be doing.
Typically for marketing and promotion, the budget item, I work closely with Director Barnes on a lot of outreach, and typically it's partnered with a lot of those events that we were just discussing. So things like Small Business Saturday and any other events that the town puts together, as well as other items that the town purchases to help with shopping small and our shop small initiative. Those types of items.
Okay.
If I can add to that, Mr. Chair.
Please go right ahead.
So next Thursday meeting, when we're talking about the fund balance section, that's when the council and the community will hear a lot more about the planned economic activities and our business roundtables, the different programs, Main Street, Maryland, things of that nature, that the way we have this set up, they would not be operating expenditures, but they'd be expenditures straight from the Economic Development Fund.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from council at this point? Any questions from public who might be listening in on this? Okay. So Ms. Barnes, thank you very much. Mr. Tilton, thank you very much as well. Okay. And I'm looking forward to those events. Okay. We were moving on to community grants, is that correct?
We are.
Ms. Barnes.
Just a little introduction to community grants. These are funds that the town puts back out into the community to support established programs and causes, especially with our partner organizations that we had talked about a little bit earlier. So we support social concerns, public art, residents and businesses, and a variety of other entities through our community grants each year.
Any questions from the council regarding this portion of the budget for community grants? Okay. Seeing none.
Mr. Jones, before you go into this, do we have a list so the council can see a list of what the community grants are? I think this area of the budget more so than
Page 143 would be a good place to look.
I
That's
think
33.
Yep.
43. Sorry.
I think this is the one area of the budget that it's really helpful for the council to see where the money is going in the community. Director Barnes, if you could walk through.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. We support public art and programming. We typically work with the Hyattsville CDC, the Riverdale Park Arts group to bring different types of music and art-related activities to the town. So you'll see in the next couple of line items, we have an annual agreement with the Hyattsville CDC to bring public art. So some of the sculptures that you see in like Mabel Munch Park and throughout town, that is an annual project that we work on with Hyattsville CDC. There's some new programming that the staff are interested in bringing this year, some murals and something that's called the Faces of Riverdale Park. So those are some additional art-related activities that we're planning for in fiscal year 2026. We have an additional line item for community projects, and those are for things that come up throughout the year, other great ideas that come up that are related typically to public art or something that gives back to the community. We have a contribution every year to Riverdale Park Farmers Market Inc. for the delivery of the farmers market, and that's $16,800. We also have grants for the volunteer fire departments that provide services to our residents. And then Director Shelton, if you could scroll down, we could take a look if there's anything else. And we have a significant amount of social concerns. So the birthday book project is a partnership with Riverdale Elementary School. There's a nonprofit that provides a book every year on a student's birthday. It's a great program that the town supported for many years. There are several different ways that the town supports Riverdale Elementary School. So funds for parent outreach, and then uniforms for students each year. We work with the school to provide the uniforms and the amount of uniforms that they need. We work with Passion and Compassion Ministries to bring a Thanksgiving meal to residents. So that's typically post-COVID. That's done by meal boxes that include all sorts of good stuff for our community. We make a donation for coats, and typically that's with Riverdale Elementary School. So we provide coats and jackets and things like that for students in need. And then each year we do a toy drive and we do food baskets and things like that. And that directly goes back to families in Riverdale Park. And then there's an undesignated social concern line item that the mayor and council have every year to consider any other social concerns that may come up throughout the year. And that amount remains the same. The only slight change was in the community Thanksgiving, and that's because of the cost of food increasing. And so in order to provide that service, we have increased a little bit more of that donation to the entity that provides that.
Thank you for that, Director Barnes. If I can call the council's attention to two line items here. One, Mr. Shelton's on the page before this. And that it's at the bottom there, the 8701. And just in transparency, we have this here. We have an estimated actual that we will be paying this out. I have not released that grant to the Riverdale Fire Department, Inc. At this point, because they have not been providing the service. And actually, I think it would be good for the council to consider whether in the current year those funds may go to the entities that are providing services. And perhaps we can get that on a work session here before the end of the fiscal year. Or if you want to give it to the current volunteer company in town. The other line item that I'd like to call your attention to is at the bottom of the next page, and that's the undesignated. Just to highlight that, Mr. Jones, is that 5,000 estimated actual? Is that an actual number to date?
No, it's not. It's not quite there yet. I think it's closer to like 4,000.
Okay. So if the mayor and council wanted to make a contribution to other social concerns, you currently have a significant amount of money there. So even going with this estimated actual 5,000, that gives you a significant amount if there's other things in town that impact our residents, that's available to you. And I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Listich. Any questions from council regarding these 2 pages of the budget?
Mr. Lister, I'm sorry. That number was actually just 3,000 rather than 4 that I said. So
1,000?
Yeah.
So so what you're saying is on 8828, the estimated actual right now is 3,000?
Right. No. It's still 5,000. We left 2,000 additionally that we think could be expended if the council so chooses to by the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. So for right now, you're just putting it at 5.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding 8701 and a discussion on that, I'm thinking sooner the better. I think this would be something that we want to put on for the work session on the 28th. Does that sound agreeable to the rest of the council and the mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Council members, is that all right with you?
I'm waiting to have this conversation for a long time.
Okay. All right. Hearing no objections. The very important 2 pages of this budget. Not that the others are any less important, but as my colleague from the 2nd Ward said about this being a document, a moral document.
I'm just repeating the town manager verbatim.
Well, it's a good reminder. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilmember Inya.
I just, I'm super late, but I'm catching up. Just a question in terms of, I think the actuals in the community events, I think the Centennial had, I think, $22,000 or $25,000 in it. Is the plan still, and there's nothing obviously in 2026, is the plan that we would sort of celebrate the Centennial this year? Did I miss the celebration, or is it maybe a reminder on that would be helpful?
Director Barnes.
Certainly, you did not miss the celebration, and we intend to spend every penny that is in that line item to bring a phenomenal celebration to the town in June of this year.
And And can
And
you
that's-
expound on that, Director Barnes, to what phenomenal means? It means different things for different people. Does that include the fireworks display?
We are working on that now, moving forward very, very quickly on those plans. So we're still pulling things together, but I believe we'll have some sort of a report at the end of the month. But it will be a wonderful celebration, we'll put it that way, for the town throughout the week, 1 week in June, but it'll probably expand throughout the rest of the calendar year. So certainly.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Ms.
But no monthly firework displays during the year.
I don't think we can afford that. Our budget does not allow for that in fiscal year 2026. But you never know, right? Like, we'll have to see how things go, but not in fiscal year 2026 for sure. Perhaps in the future if we ever have the funding for that.
And I think, Mr. Mayor, not to add inappropriate levity here, but it depends on what we define as fireworks.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions at this point on what we've covered? Okay, let's move on. We are coming up to police services.
Chief Turner.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Your
Morning,
police
Chief.
department, I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your police department is a full-service law enforcement agency that works with our residents, businesses, community partners, and the broader staff team to deliver transparent, quality police services to address the needs of our diverse and growing community. The police department includes 4 call centers: police services, which includes the command staff, the patrol division, and criminal investigations; police administration, which is our records department, handles parking permit management, expungements, and MPIA requests; public safety communications, which is our 911 dispatch that receives approximately 15,000 calls per year; and our community safety programs, which handles our automated enforcement and all of our community outreach programs. And with that, I'll turn the budget overview to Deputy Director Jones for the 4 call centers.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Chief. So for fiscal year 2026, we have a total fiscal year budgeted expenditure amount of $4,169,570. The staff headcount 24 in 2025, and it remains the same for fiscal year 2026. We do have a bit of an increase. Fiscal year 2025, the total was just $4,030,510, and I will cover the significant changes. So for fiscal year 2026, again, organization-wide, 2.5% COLA and step increases. And for benefits, those are also the same company-wide. Now, I will mention this is another department where for 25, we had a specific amount that we had designated for 25, and then we had some officers come in hired at different rates. Benefits as well, we had budgeted for a specific amount for health insurance, and then those came in differently. So if you look, the salaries only increased by 1%, but the benefits up 9%. So there is some variation there in what we had approved for 25 and what is actually to be hired and carried forward in fiscal year 26. Another significant increase we'd like to reflect and talk about is the contractual services. So that just did decrease by 29%. The parking enforcement expenditures were lower than what we had budgeted in fiscal year 2025, as 2025 was the first year that we had implemented that parking enforcement. outside of that, as far as operating expenditures, remain pretty flat, just a 3% increase, and that is reflected in the training and conferences based on the projected cost assessments. The next that we have is the administrative services.
Can I ask a quick question about the parking enforcement?
Sure.
So the contract came in at a lower amount than you were anticipating, and that's why the savings can be carried forward. Is that a good summary of that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we in trying to be conservative, we did have that higher, but now we have a more accurate figure since we mostly through fiscal year 2025.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. The next cost center that also falls under police is the administrative services. This is another one of our cost centers that has remained relatively flat. The total staff head count remains unchanged. The budgeted amount is $120,199. Here we have just the organization-wide COLA, the merit step increase, and then the benefits as well. So yeah, this is relatively flat. Nothing has changed in the operating expenditures. The third cost center that falls under police is the police communication services. We have a budgeted expenditure amount of $621,460, up from the 2025 budgeted amount of $588,915. And then we have a unchanged staff headcount, totaling 5.5 positions. As far as significant changes are concerned, this is another one that remains relatively flat. Just the organization-wide 2.5% COLA and step increases, and then the increases there budgeted for benefits, and the contractual services just went up $625. Overall, the budget just went up 6% for communication services. So again, another flat budget. And the last cost center that we will find under police services is the community safety programs. So the fiscal year 2026 total for community safety programs is $1,237,961. And this has jumped up a bit from the fiscal year 2025 amount of $1,013,237. The staff headcount does remain unchanged, but I will briefly cover some of the significant changes here. Okay, so fiscal year 2026, it does include the 2.5% COLA as well as the step increase, but we also hired an officer here at a higher rate than what we had in fiscal year 25. Benefits were reflected as well with the hire here. And then the largest increase you'll see though is in contractual services. So this reflects a substantial increase in the automated enforcement program costs. It reflects the move to the residential district speed and enforcement and the full implementation of the red light enforcement program. So in fiscal year 2026, the expectation is that the red light camera will be fully operational, and the price increase is reflected here. So overall, we do have a 22% increase as far as community safety programs is concerned, and it's due to the new hire there at a higher rate, as well as the increased expenditures for the additional speed cameras, speed and red light cameras.
So does that conclude that section, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
So if we can stay on this, and this is the expenses for that program. And I just want to stress that this is balanced against a gross revenue, and Mr. Jones, help me out here, of 2.5. Is that our revenue projection?
I believe so. I don't want to misspeak. Give me 1 second.
If you can pull up the projected revenue.
Yeah, I don't have that right in front of me. Give me 1 second.
$2.586.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, and that revenue projection is up from, is it 2.1 in the current year?
Budget is 2.168.
And so while the expenses have gone up, so has the revenue, the projected revenue. And it's probably near a similar percent, be my guess. I think revenue outpaced expenditures a little bit there. And we are trying to be conservative on the red light camera, having not done this. There's been some delays, primarily dealing initially with state highway. As I've shared with the mayor and council and the community in the past, we will follow the law. And that's frustrating sometimes, but it was really important that we do things right. And I'm not suggesting individual communities are not following the law, but I will say that others haven't necessarily gone through the tedious process that we've gone through with state highway. And but we'll be able to speak with certainty that our cameras are appropriate in compliance with regulations. And Chief Turner, when do we have a new projection of when the red light cameras will be up and running?
Yes, sir. We believe in sometime in mid-May, we'll be issuing warnings.
Great. So this definitely will be in full force and effect for the upcoming year.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then not included in this is any sort of projection on stop signs because we just don't know. And so we'll be back to talk to the mayor and council about that once we have a better understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Lustician. Appreciate that. That is a substantial increase from 2.1 to 2.5. That's almost ballpark 20%. Well, I think folks know my feeling about projections when it comes to revenue based on people's marginal propensity to press down with the right foot or not employed on another pedal to manage their movement through intersections. Let's hope for the better, whatever that case may be. I had a question for Chief Turner. Going back to the administrative services, page 159, regarding staff, and I was wondering if Chief Turner could share his thoughts regarding the position of operations coordinator. What are we looking at? I mean, we're not looking at it's a position, but it's not funded. And I was just wondering if you could share your thoughts with this body regarding that that status right now.
Yes, sir. We had requested an additional support staff for the police department. However,
Okay.
discussing that with the town manager and finance staff, that wasn't possible to do.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering if you could share with council what you were seeing in an operations coordinator, what responsibilities they would be taking on.
Well, to alleviate some of the actual reporting that's required by the state to the train commission, as well as assisting us with our management of our parking citations and flagging with the MVA, as well as the potential for when the red light camera comes on.
Okay. Because right now that's being handled by the records and permit manager, another staff member over there as well.
Yes, as well as more of a team function. We have some of our automated enforcement helping with that as well.
Okay. All right.
And,
Thank you.
and Mr. Chair, if I can add,
Please.
from my perspective, this is a necessary position.
Yeah.
It's just that in the current situation, we can't fund it.
Okay.
This wasn't the only position requested. Director Chelton requested assistance as well. And that we didn't even get to the point of saying, well, let's put it in and have it unfunded. But it's important for the council and the community to know that that's something that needs looked at. So it's not judging the value of that position or this position. It's saying that we didn't see a way of being able to pull this off. I will say the police department, in terms of administrative support, is thin. We have one civilian position for police department administrative type work, and what that means is that we have command staff as well as others, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong here, sharing in that workload. It's the same as I don't have an administrative position. None of the leadership team does. We all do our own admin work. And the way we've been able to grow programs in that over the years is we've turned admin positions actually into program positions. And so 8 years ago, we started that to be able to deliver more to the community without growing the staff team. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. Given our financial constraints, I still think it was the right thing to do. Now, in terms of this position, if we can afford it in fiscal 27, that's something that we will definitely try to do. I think we will wait to see what sort of revenue may come from stop sign enforcement cameras that can assist with that sort of funding. And then, frankly, there's a broader conversation over parking enforcement as well, and whether there should be paid parking at some point in different commercial areas, and whether that can help to fund, well, that could help the businesses first by encouraging turnover, but whether that could also help fund these additional positions in the police department.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think, so I was just making a note, I think in this upcoming year, what it might behoove all of us to do is looking at this budget and going through it, seeing if that we can find a way to try and find a way to be able to identify funds for these positions and get these positions filled. Will that be all of them? It's hard to say. I mean, I think we're looking at the numbers. It's really going to make a difference. But I think it's something that we're going to probably need to, the next council is going to probably need to be doing to identify that. seeing where funds could be identified. I'm sensing, the reason I'm saying this is because I'm sensing that it's not so much being thin, but with everything that's going on, we're reaching an upper limit as to capacity with everything that's already on, responsibilities that are already on staff's on staff's desk, and to deal with that for 27, that something's going to have to be different.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mayor, please.
Chief, just about the red light camera revenues, you said that you would be issuing warnings in May. I presume the actual tickets would go out sometime in June. Is that correct?
Correct. I believe with the red light program, it requires a month worth of warnings, not 2 weeks.
Okay. And the second question is, do we expect the same sort of delays between the issuance of the ticket and the receipt of revenues as we have with speed cameras, or is that a slightly different delay also?
I would think it would be at least a month in the rear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you
Chair.
very much, Mr. Mayor. Chief, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lustician, on the you raised the issue of paid parking. That would be for street parking, correct? The town doesn't own any surface lots.
Just the town center lot.
Right, yes.
Yes. So we have the town center lot, and then on-street parking, whether that be in Riverdale Park Station or other nearby or streets near commercial areas. Yes.
And the town center lot, that's only west of the tracks that we own, right? The east of the tracks lot is CSX.
That's true. Yes, sir. And then CSX leases that to the State Railway Administration.
Gotcha. So even there, it'd be
limited.
Yeah, I mean, in other than when the lots are full for like farmers market and things, people could just go to the other side of the tracks and park for free.
In terms of in the town center, yes.
Right. So in terms of like effectiveness of the program, we'd primarily be looking at street parking.
Yes, sir. And Riverdale Park Station would be the primary area.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Any other questions or comments for the public for Chief Turner at this time? Okay, hearing none. Chief Turner, thank you very much. Or is there additional items you wanted to cover?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. This brings us to Public Works.
So I am going to do my best to channel Director Lewis. Director Lewis is here today, and I will be her voice. And she sent me some notes, but I'm not a notes or script type person. So let me begin by saying this. In Public Works, we have a small team. We have a small team that makes sure that all the corner cans are emptied, so trash isn't overflowing in our neighborhoods. We have a small team that still cuts a lot of grass in town, even though we contract out quite a few locations through a third party. We have a small team that runs our bulk trash on Saturdays. That same small team is responsible for cleaning up litter along curb lines, whether that's by hand and trash or collection receptacle, or through the street sweeper. That same small team services all the town-owned streetlights. Works all the events, setting up tents, doing setup and cleanup. This small group of employees do quite a lot for the town. And as we speak in our staff meetings, there's ways to grow the assessable base. And one way to grow the assessable base is to have new buildings built. And that's something that Mr. Chelton is focused on, as well as to make sure buildings are maintained. But in terms of the public area, that has a direct relation to accessible base. Are the street signs in good condition? Or is the town clean? Do people know when they drive into Riverdale Park that they're in a different place? Are we maintaining our street trees? Are we living our values of sustainability? All the duties assigned to Public Works further our infrastructure vision and commitment statement, our walk, bike, drive programs. I mean, if a traffic control is not in place, that's a problem. And I know the mayor contacted me one evening at I think it was at 10:30 and said, John, the temporary stop sign on River Road in Hague has been blown over. It's Public Works that responds out there to stand that back up. So this small group of folks deliver a lot of service to our town residents to make the town the location of choice. So Director Lewis, I don't know if I'm doing it justice because I did not follow your recommended talking points, but I think these are the things that the residents need to know that Public Works provides. And so Mr. Jones will walk us through the numbers to see that we are talking about a slight increase. We did back down to balance the budget. We had 2 part-time ambassador positions, and I unfunded one of those in this proposed budget simply because we had to find balance. And that was a vacant position, so we didn't have to walk someone to the door. Mr. Jones, if you want to cover the significant changes.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Listician. So the fiscal year 2026 budgeted expenditure total is $2,054,244. If you notice, this is actually less than what we had budgeted for fiscal year 2025. As Town Manager Listician just mentioned, in order for us to balance the budget, we did have to have some cuts, and we did find some of that here in the Public Works cost center. 2026, the staff headcount did reduce by the 0.5, as he just also mentioned. That neighborhood ambassador position, the second one was eliminated for fiscal year 26. So the total did go from 9.75 to 9.25. And then I'll cover the significant changes that reflect some of the changes that were made. So as far as salaries and benefits is concerned, on the salary side, we did have to reduce that position there. And then on the benefit side, we do have a more accurate representation of some of the qualifying events that had occurred upon hiring. So benefits actually did go lower for fiscal year 2026. Again, we do budget. We did have a budgeted amount in fiscal year 2025, and now for 26, we do have a more accurate representation there. Overtime premiums, we did have an increase there due to the operational demands after the normal work hours. So we did make an adjustment there for fiscal year 2026. We did have a significant decrease there in contractual services, from 641,000 down to 570,000. And this reflects a decrease in the cost of the landscape services. So we were able to find some savings there.
And Mr. Jones, if I can just add on that, it also reflects the change in the composting project.
Correct. Yes, that did decrease as well. And then I'm sorry, where was I? Operating. Then for operating, that did increase a little bit, 7% there, 251,000 up to 269,000. And this specifically for the mosquito control program, which did increase. Additionally, street light fixtures and repair, those items have increased. So due to the annual expenditures there for damaged street lights, we did increase that line item as well. So overall, we did have some areas that went up, some went down, but overall, the Public Works Department did decrease by 2%.
Mr. Chair?
Mayor Thompson, please.
Mr. Jones, or Deputy Director Jones, the statement about the streetlights damaged annually, are those vehicles striking streetlights? That's the source of that? Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So, and Chief, I saw your camera come on for a sec. Can you address part of that?
Yes, that would be the town-owned light poles like we see around Riverdale Road. Occasionally we get a vehicle strike and they're a total loss, or like when we had the Metro bus accident up at Rhode Island and Queensbury.
And are we typically at least partially reimbursed for those costs from insurance of the vehicles?
Mr. Smith, can you address that and working with Legit and everything?
At times we are, and sometimes we're not because of in some cases it's whether or not we pay the deductible versus the light post. In other cases, poles are hit and there's no information about who tore the pole down. They'll hit a pole and keep going. So
hit and run for the pole, not a
correct. So at times we are currently trying to be reimbursed for the one with the Metro bus. We have a claim in for that, and we're waiting information from Legit now.
Okay. This is sort of outside the purview of budget, but just it might be a good idea to provide this information, mark this on the map for the walk, bike, drive safety, because it does indicate if we're having a larger number of them, it indicates that there's some safety issues in those areas.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Any questions up to this point from council members? Okay, Mr. Jones, Mr. Lustician.
Mr. Jones, yep, I was going to ask if you want to go through the other significant changes.
Yes, so the next that we have is the weather response services section. Thank you. So the budget here just remained flat. No changes here. Overtime remained the same, and the operating expenditures remain the same. So we have no significant changes here. And the next public works sections that we will cover are the town buildings. First being the town hall. So what we did here, so we have a budgeted amount for fiscal year 2026 of $33,550. So the significant changes that we showed here pretty much just match the estimated actuals. We did go we do have estimated actuals that total higher than the fiscal year 2025 budgeted amount. So what we did here is we just matched what the estimated actual was. So the change in fiscal year 2026 is the expectation that the utilities cost will be higher for fiscal year 2026. And that represented a total overall 14% increase from fiscal year 2025 to 2026. The next
Mr. Jones, if you could hold one moment.
My apologies.
If I may. When I saw this, I love how you're optimist, though, and I hope it's that way. But that section of the budget on weather response services, the fact that we're not looking at any increase, the fact that this past year, you know, we had an amount of 28,000. We're going to meet that, and that's staying constant. And that we're doing so, as the old phrase going, "Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise." Wondering if you could talk us through this a little bit, how you're seeing that being, you know, the contingency remaining a constant.
So, Mr. Chair, if you could repeat that in reference to the contingency, I missed part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what I'm saying at is, we're looking at carrying over the same budgeted amount as last year. I mean, we're fortunate that we didn't have any major instances this past year. Am I over worrying?
I would say
when I see that same amount carried over, it's
yeah.
Like I was saying, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
Well, exactly, sir. And so may that go up? Yes. Do we have $100,000 in a budget contingency line item?
Okay.
In the event that this goes up? Yes, we do. And that's part of Gentry. Does that live in administrative services? The 100,000?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So if it does go up, we don't have to amend the budget. I just need to come to the council and say, hey, there was a flood or a bad storm or more snow than anticipated, and we're going to need contingency. And so we'll be able to fund things if need be, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're covering that again this year. And just for anyone who's going to listen later and see this and wonder, have the same question. So thank you.
Yes, and we debated whether or not we should increase this, and it's like, well, it's really rolling the dice, and so we'll wait and see.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead,
Mr. Jones.
Sure, thank you. I believe we were on the public safety building. So the fiscal year 2026 budgeted expenditure, consistent with the town hall building, what we did is we matched the fiscal year 2025 estimated actuals to reflect what we would budget for fiscal year 2026. So the only significant change here was just the increase in the utilities as well as the building maintenance, which we expect to be higher in fiscal year 26. And I'm sorry, not the last, because we have the auxiliary buildings as well. The third building cost center that we have is the Public Works building. For fiscal year 2026, we have a budgeted amount of 39,000. And again, this one also matches what we had for an estimated actual. and that one isn't going up as much because it already had a higher budgeted amount. But yeah, that's going from 38,500 up to 39,000. And the last cost center that we have for town buildings is the auxiliary. And this includes the other buildings that the town maintains that don't fall in the other three categories.
And so that's the train station and what has or is currently known as the Boys and Girls Club.
In here, we have an
Mr.
increase
Town Manager, is that the proposed Riverdale Park Convention Center?
It's whatever the majority of the council decides, sir.
Understood. Thank you.
The new convention center. Okay.
So yes, the approved amount, I'm sorry, the proposed amount increased $1,000 from 11,700 up to 12,700, just due to the increases expected for maintenance for fiscal year 26. And that concludes the municipal town buildings.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I may, Mr. Shelton, yep, if you can minimize that. So the one thing I wanted to share with the council and the community today is that Director Barnes has put together kind of a communication plan for the budget. So we have our guide and our summary, and we'll update that document as the mayor suggested. But one thing that we didn't spend time on today, but I think is really important for the community to better understand what the departments have accomplished and what the goals are and the work measures and all that kind of stuff. So so beginning next week, Director Barnes' staff will be sending out, and Jess, I don't know if that's going to be in your constant contact or whatever, but we're going to be sending out in small bites. So by cost center, this is what's happening here in terms of services delivered. Here's the goals, here's the accomplishments to help better educate folks as they're reading through the summary documents. What are we actually paying for? And so I just want to acknowledge that Jessica's staff is working on that. And then I did want to take a moment, sir, to acknowledge the staff team that's worked on these various documents. And then we also have two important staff members with us in addition to the leadership team today, and that's Anna Wendland and Robert Redman. Anna works in employee and finance services, so she helps in both those realms. And Robert is our operations manager, who's leading the public works day-to-day operations. So I wanted to acknowledge them as well.
Well, thank you for doing that, and I thank them for also being here today to be around in case we have any questions.
Thank you, John.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the council at this time for staff regarding what we've covered today? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. That brings us to the capital improvement programs portion, which we will be covering on Thursday evening, the first part, and the second part we'll be covering next Saturday. Anything that we would need to talk about? Otherwise, we can also be bringing up at the upcoming work session on the 28th of April. I would like to thank staff and everyone for carrying us through today, this portion of the budget. I think we've got through this quite well, in a prompt way, and I appreciate all the effort staff has put in towards this budget together, as well as the section on the budget overview. I think that is a great addition, so that folks in town can get a very good idea of how tax money is getting spent, and should they choose to want to dive in deeper with the document that was produced this year, they're able to do so. So very well done by staff. As my colleague from Ward 1, Councilmember Smith, brought up, this is something definitely to be proud of in terms of what's been produced. And I think that wraps us up for today. Am I correct in that assessment?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and we will see everyone on Thursday. If any members of the council or the community have any questions or recommendations about the proposed budget, please reach out to any member of the staff leadership team or myself. I think everyone has my cell phone number, and I think everyone in the community has my cell phone number as well. So if anybody needs to get in touch with me, please give me a call. I'd be happy to listen to any concerns or recommendations. And we'll see the council on Thursday.
Okay. Great.
Thank you
very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, staff. Appreciate the.
Indeed. Thank you very much, folks. We will see you Thursday evening. Till then, have yourself a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you.